above it again. That's part of scalping.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Especially like for finding just levels of significance. If you've got an established chart, even if your chart is literally just like not that old, as long as you have a candle close, so it could be like a yearly close, 6 month close. Those higher time frame point of controls are really powerful, like insanely. You could just turn
Yeah.
everything off and just use those as support resistance, and you'd be fine. So yeah, it's a really useful piece of extra confidence to have. But what I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
let's see how
now,
they work in
yeah, of course, go
stocks
on,
for
bro.
high time frame.
Yeah,
I
they're
said
amazing.
high time frame for them on stocks.
Yeah, like for Nokia, for basically any stock that I'm looking to either trade or take a big position on, I'll have like the yearly point of controls down along with the fibs, the buy seller zones, the historical price range, and you just go for that and just take a shot where it makes sense to. So I've got so many
Yeah.
DMs because obviously I'll put the wins on the stock that we've had on stocks. The red wire, the Enphase, the XT, the Lemonade. I've got so many DMs like, oh, like, what are you using for this? It's nothing special. But I don't have a special system or anything. I'm just good at finding significant levels. And then the rest of that, after that, it's just execution. You just got to have the mental fortitude to be like, okay, I don't care if I take a loss here. This is an area where it makes sense based on the price action, based on where we are historically, to take a shot. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. Like that's a part of trading. Like there's no such thing as a risk-free trade. But it will really help you being able to find those significant levels through point of controls and any other means that we learn. It really help you to find areas where it makes sense to then execute, right? Because executing in the middle of nowhere, that's what gets most people absolutely messed up. Because you're entering at an unoptimal area, you're holding through choppy periods where nothing's happening in the grand scheme of things. And that's because you didn't enter at a significant level, right? So, with point of controls, really help with that a lot.
And when those like when you combine them with your support resistances or buyer seller zones or your harmonics, um, I kind of wait till price action moves a little bit where you actually see these bids holding, right? The maybe
Yeah,
two or three candles on the 1 minute are holding the point of control on the line, right?
yeah,
You actually
exactly.
see bids stepping in physically, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like you can
So
try,
that's what I'm starting to
you can
get
take like a
going.
reactionary trade once a level hits if you want. But if you do that, you want to make sure you don't do it with full size because you don't have a thesis on what
Yeah.
you're entering, like you say. If you then see, okay, that level's holding, we're getting, in this case, let's say going long. You see we're getting seller absorption, market sellers at the lows are getting punished, they're getting trapped. Then you can size up because now you have a thesis. Oh, aside from just, oh, we've hit a key level, right? So then you can size up on that. Absolutely.
I appreciate it, man.
No problem at all, bro. I just wanted to do a quick one today because it's been a little while since I've gone live. But there's been no reason to, right? Crypto's just been doing its thing, bleeding for the most part. Hype's been taking up the entire market share for crypto. Um, and well, for stocks, we've already entered. Now it's just TPing, right? That's it. So I've not really had a reason to go live, but I thought it's been a while, so why not go live today? Um, we've had 2 new members join. Howard, welcome, brother. It's good to have you with us. It's been a while. He's one of my older students, guys. Like way back, one of the first people who actually reached out to me to learn.
Yeah, it's
So
good to be here.
of course, bro, welcome, man. And if you have any questions, bro, just reach out. A lot of people here, like they know what they're doing. They've gone through all of advanced, all of core, they've got experience, and then me, anyone else here will be completely happy to help you out. And apart from that, let's take a look, right? So I just want to quickly scan through crypto, quickly scan through stocks. Not much to it. Hype, I wouldn't touch. I know there was a chance to short here earlier today, but that chance wasn't active for long at all, right? You had a daily seller zone. Any rejections off there were shortable, but now you're above. I'd just wait to see what kind of reaction you get at this crap. Like this is the only wave structure that I see right now in the grand scheme of things, unless one sec. This wouldn't really mean anything anyway. Yeah, this is the only wave structure I see. Like we've got a crab, we've got a 1.618. Let's see what kind of reaction we get at that 1.618, right? We go hit it, we start putting inverted smiley faces, anything like that in. We know we've got an area we can try and take a shot, but otherwise, just get out of this way. This is completely and utterly bullish, ridiculously so. There's just no weakness in this chart whatsoever. If we take a look again at the point of controls, like your higher time frame point of controls of significance, they're all below you. Your 2025 point of control got flipped to support in the May of 2026. That was the last low entry you actually had to try and take a shot. I got caught with my dick in my hands with hype. I've got zero hype. I'm not in a trade, right? The only thing I am is it like a long, like a scalp to swing long, not positioned anywhere close to what I want to be. So this is a trend that I missed, right? So now I'm just waiting for an opportunity to see whether I can actually scalp short it at any point, or whether eventually we'll actually get a pullback on this for me to enter on. But for now, I'm just watching it go up. And it's fine, right? Because I really, really wanted that 786. I didn't get it. And then by the time I was looking at it here, I was thinking, well, if I'm going to enter spot, I'd rather just hold, because majority of crypto didn't look as good as hype. So it's what it is. I am completely sidelined on this one, just watching it. And I know a few of you are in this, so congratulations to those who are. A few other things.
Do you have any any theses with like hype? Like every token's 90 at their 90% lows, Bitcoin's at 70Ks, yet this is top lasting. What do you have a thesis for if alt season actually does, if other tokens actually start doing good? Is this just gonna outperform dramatically based on its performance from a bad drought season doing well?
Yeah, I'd say we're looking at it right now, right? If you're looking at it completely technically speaking, it's very evident that the entire market share is going towards this. And until we get some sort of break of structure, even if it's like 4 hours, right, 1 hour, until you get some sort of trend shift indicating, okay, hype looks toppy here. So for example, you start getting like daily bearish divergences, and the 4 hour starts breaking to the downside. You get a trend shift to the downside. You hit, for example, what else can we look at, right, on the hype? Apart from just the wave structure, we've got diagonals, right? So if I look at the diagonals, this is your macro FSP resistance fan on hype, right? And if you were to take a look at that, well, we're approaching the golden pocket to the top side. We're literally at the front run right now. If we can get above this, we have way more room for expansion. Right, we're literally talking this. Look, what's happened every time in the past we've broken above this blue line? Well, you've gone minimum to the 3-4. That's just history, right? You've got minimum to the 3-4. So if this happens again, and we go minimum to the 3-4, we're talking about like a 76, depending on when we do it, of course. We're talking about like a $75 plus hype. So there's still room, gas in the tank left for this particular asset. Now, if we start SFPing around these areas, and then what you would do is you would then think, okay, logically speaking, if hype were to slow down, what would it make sense for hype to then rotate into, right? So you would start thinking things like, okay, what's the other darlings, right? I would say Link, right? Link is just a favorite. I'll have a big bag of Link for the next bull run. I'd think something like Tau, right? I'd think maybe even you want to look at other exchanges, maybe Lit, right? We know Lit is something that would compete with hype in the same sort of field. I'm not saying it's anywhere close to hype's level, but it's something that could compete, right? You would then look at, not exactly like how you look at BTC pairings. I would just go and look, for example, Lit versus hype, right? Tau versus hype, Sol versus hype, whatever, because it's very evident hype is the leader. So then if you want to know if we're going to outperform in the same thesis of why we would look at Bitcoin pairings or Ethereum pairings, I would honestly go and start looking at hype pairings. Just go, and instead of just looking at your alts against the dollar, go and start looking at your alts against hype. Whatever looks ready, whatever looks ready basically to break out against hype, those would be the ones I'd bet on. That makes sense, bro. Because on a fundamental level, I've got no idea how high this could go, right? This thing's making money. It's making a lot of money. Extremely small team, no VCs. It's got huge potential, right? So I would just comment. I can only come at it from a technical perspective. I would look at things that you want to get into, other alts. I would look at it against hype, right? So instead of just looking at, for example, Link versus USDT or Link versus BTC, I would look at Link versus hype, right? So on and so forth, and see basically what looks good to run against this coin. And those would be the ones I'll take a bet on. But only after this looks like it's actually hit, after you think like that top last phase is basically it for this one, right? Because until then, this will just keep grinding up. It's insane how much strength this has had.
That makes a ton of sense. Thank you.
No problem, brother. No problem at all. But yeah, you've got that in terms of the downtrending. This is just insane. You wouldn't be surprised by these levels up here being hit. Like, if you've just got such a huge room for growth. That's the trend shift. Based on the trend shift, like you've held, you're literally going towards your no matter what angle you look at this from. The only thing is the macro pitch fan is the one that's giving you resistance right now. But you start flipping that, you've got you just got so much room for growth on this. Like honestly, so much room for growth. Insanely strong. Right.
I hope it wakes up a DeFi season, or something, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of DeFi tokens down very heavily when Hype is the leading DeFi.
Exactly. And then total DeFi, it doesn't look bad, right? Based on where it is. This is something we looked at quite a while. If I go over here, let me go to total DeFi.
Oh, I use TPOs with it as well.
Yeah, but this is my main, like, sort of, whether it's equities or stocks. If I'm going to be scalp swinging, entering, like, trying any sort of, like, day trade, scalp trade, my main on the left, footprint charts, and then TPOs here. My bread and butter.
Very clean.
Right. But what I'm interested in right now is I don't need this workspace. So let's take a look. Rivian, just insanely strong right now. One sec. I'm going to look at total DeFi. Total DeFi dominance, firstly, just at the key area. The same area we've been looking at for a while now. Above its previous 2017 highs, support, raid, back above. As long as you're above this, is support above a key level. But total DeFi was very keen up into it. You know what? Let's just do a fresh chart on this. That'll make it much nicer. We'll just do a fresh chart. So I'll just switch back to like. I'll switch back to Nokia for now because this is something I really want to catch a really big size trade on Nokia. So it's the one I'm gonna watch. No. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Is ticker JD software?
No,
You know off the
that's-
top of your head?
That's just the you know the like Apparel store, bro. We can buy like sport clothes and shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that one. Which is
Oh,
why,
okay.
yeah, which is why,
Okay.
as nice as it looks, I'm not like heavily into it because no matter how nice something is, if it's not the narrative yet, it's not going to catch the big rotation. It can take a while. It can just go sideways in a key level, right? Which is why I'm not big positioned on this one yet. One sec, I just want to go here.
It seems like the rotation is looking like software and data storage, right? I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw Snowflake's huge pump the other day,
huge,
but
bro, yeah, I saw that one. Penguin Solutions as well. Both we were looking at those.
yeah.
But I quickly just want to look at DeFi, and I want to see. Yeah, there we go. As long as you're above this, you're completely fine on DeFi. And you're at the mid. Like if this was a chart, you would literally genuinely just take a shot over here, scalp the swing, scalp whatever. As if you lost the mid, you'd get out. But as long as you're above 68.25, imagine that's a price. You'd be going long on something like this, right? You'd be trying for a long. So for sure, like and I think hopefully it does kick off a DeFi season. That'd be amazing. But let's look at BTC, let's look at ETH, and then after that, let's look at a few stocks as well. I might go live tomorrow evening as well. I don't want to take up too much time today. So I just want to take a quick look. Right, first and foremost, Bitcoin. 886, I'll leave for now, since that is the most extreme, but let's delete that. Here we go, right? So this is how we'll be looking at Bitcoin. We'll be looking at it purely through the lens of volume, right? We know this was the volume profile low. Hourly and like 4 hours or something like that are the white and the blue because they're slightly different number of candles. So you can see on the 4 hours, for example, you've got the white. If I go on to the hourly, you're going to get the blue, right? It's good to check through your different time frames because since different number of candlesticks will be involved, it's going to give you slightly different calculations, right? So basically, if you put both, you're simply accounting for the deviation in the candlestick calculation, right? So as long as this zone is resistance, I wouldn't be going long on Bitcoin, not at all. Like we've talked about this plenty of times. As long as this is support, you can go long to then target this, right? If this is not support, just wait until that happens. There's not much difference between going long here and going long in this, right? But there's a big difference in terms of actual price action, even though there isn't a big difference in terms of price. So Bitcoin still, honestly, it's not looking that strong. I wouldn't say this looks strong right now. And obviously, if it were to do something like this, right, go and start reclaiming again, it would look stronger than what it is looking like right now. But I can't tell you Bitcoin looks strong because it looks like it's going to do this, right? I can only tell you what's going on based on current price action. Based on current price action, I wouldn't say this looks strong. Let's compare that with the yearly. Yep, below the yearly, the only 12-month level that matters right now, 74,507.01. You're below that set area, so you can see why this is such an important zone, right? If you can't get above this, you won't be surprised if this drops straight down towards 69, 68k level. Why that? Because, well, just do this. Easy. When in doubt, just look for your range. Where's your range? You can call your range something as simple as this. There. If you're below range highs, why would you not then just target range mid, right? We know how range trading works. It's simple. And if range mid is lost, well then, pray for anyone who's been bullish, because at that point I would want that 58k area we've been talking about, right, for the deep godly minimum. But for now, this is the area we want ultimately to be above. You want to get above, grind above, start vertically committing, whatever you want to do. You want to do it above that line. Right now, it's not been doing that. It's been coming down into it, and you've been making lower highs and lower lows on the 12 hours, so on and so forth, and you've lost it, right? So until you get back above, nothing. Once you do this, even though like price isn't going to be much different, the actual thesis is going to be different, right? The thesis is no longer that you're attacking this from the downside and failing to get above. It's that you're going to be having engulfed it or whatever, and then now sellers are attempting to get back below, and they're unable to. That's what you want to see, because then you can easily fire off longs, once again targeting 81k. And if it gets above, finally, maybe we see our 84, 87, 89, 91, 93, so on and so forth, right? But those prices is a pipe dream if you cannot get above this area. Very, very simple. So that's that on BTC. We don't need to overcomplicate it. That's fine. And just as a reminder to everybody about where we stand in terms of one sec. So this one has more volume. But yeah, this one up. Got that. So we'll just look at it in terms of this. Turn that off. Turn that off. Okay. Wave structure wise, let's look at everything. Just as a reminder, we have a potential deep crab, and that is a B point rejection for now, right? The 886. We have the 3.14 and 1.618 of the deep crab right over here. 43,330 to 42,552. We have the 3.618 of the deep crab at 35, and the hop, the hop price of the deep crab, the harmonic optimum price is the 1.902. That is all the way down at 27,884. Now, I do not want you to fixate on this number thinking that's definitely where we're going to go. That's not the point in me giving you these levels, right? The point in me giving you these levels is so that you have, ahead of time, a collection of levels where it's more probable that, something significant happens at these areas instead of in the middle of nowhere, right? Because these will be areas where certain wave structures, certain recognized patterns complete, right? We have the Gali, and this is the only wave structure, like I've said, that's completed. And again, we've just hit the 3-4 and rejected, right? 382 is at 85. We haven't even, if this is it, right? If it's literally that, and this is going to give us some sort of type to return, you don't understand that it's just so terribly weak. Because even looking at it right now, that's so weak. Because what you're saying is, based on your completed wave structure, there is so much overhead supply on Bitcoin in this area that you couldn't even go and hit the 382. Right? Now, again, remember that's the shallow zone for us, and we know it's important because if your trend is strong, we want that shallow zone to give us directional bias. If you're in a downtrend and your downtrend is indeed valid and strong, you want sellers to take control, right? But for most people, that is the 382. We have a zone, we have the 3-4 and the 382. What we're literally saying is there's so much supply. The market participants aren't even letting buyers go to test that recognized 382. They're just saying, you know what, just dump it from here. We don't care about going higher. That's bearish, right? So if we do get that revisit, if we lose the range mid, right, and we visit the lows, then what one is tap into this. The Deep Guardi 886 is at 57,757, and the Deep Guardi 2.618 is at 52,399. I do not care if we don't get the 40s, 30s, 20s, whatever, but I would love a tap into this minimum. I would love it. Are we going to get it? Who knows, right? We're not guaranteed anything in this market, but I would absolutely love it if we were to get something like this, even if that is going to be the low before we kickstart a move back up. Give us some bullish divergence, Class A. Give us absorption at those lows, right? Rate that low once, and then after that, just, send it up. That'd be absolutely lovely. We know there's that. We know there's the shark, right? The 5.8, 1.47. The shark targets are 42.511 and 41.120. We know there's the macro shark, the B, and that takes us down again to 26K. And we know there's the ABCDs. We haven't hit a single ABCD target yet, right? The 2.24s are 58, the 2.618s are 52, the 3.14s are 43, and the 3.618 is at 35. Those are all the wave structures that we've got going for us right now, right? And we know we've had a bearish ABCD completion point right over here, along with a 1.618 further up, and that right there is where we did top out indeed. Right, so ABCDs is extremely, extremely powerful, right? They're so powerful. Every single cycle high, cycle low has been marked by ABCDs. That's why I absolutely love them. They're simple but very, very effective. In fact, let me put that over here. Let me put that over here as well. There we go. So if I was to bring all of that together, then that will build us out. That will build us out our macro chart, right? If I go over here and we go to the deep crab, there we go. We have this. If the B point of the shark, which is that, right, that's the macro B point. We obviously know that B point's already been rejected from. As long as we're below that, your next wave structure target would be that 786, of course, but I would not want that to hold a second time. I would want to rate instead, somewhere into this zone, right? So you've got 786. You've got this zone below the 786, right? 58,974 to 57,757. If that is lost, I would target 52,399. If that is lost, then I would target all the way lower to 43. That is lost, that's going to be a steep drop, right? So the whole purpose of this is not to tell you exactly where we're going to bottom, because Lord knows, I'm not pretending like I know exactly where we're going to bottom, right? What I can give you is, based on the price action we've had so far, where are the completion points for these wave structures that have been building up? Now, once we have those down, it makes our life easier, because now all we have to do is analyze price action as it comes, and if one of these levels end up being hitting, we just look at it. We look at the footprint, we look at the order flow, we look at the interaction between the buyers and the sellers, the chart patterns that come up, and we simply ask, does this show that there is strength coming in at this area, or does this simply show there's weakness, right? There's nothing much happening. Because if we go back down to the 786 and we see aggressive sellers being rewarded, and we see aggressive buying not being rewarded, we see that the shorters are being rewarded, that they're not being trapped, right? Then obviously we know that buyers aren't really looking at this as a high value proposition anymore. And even if there are buyers looking at it, there's not enough looking at it to overwhelm and absorb the supply from the sellers. In which case, logically speaking, you'd be thinking, okay, well, if this level can't hold and supply outweighs demand, we're then going to reprice lower. Right? Because again, supply greater than demand is not going to keep the price of an asset high. It's just not, right? It's simple logistics. Then you would target the next level, so on and so forth, right? But these are the areas we're looking at, right? Nothing much has changed. Like, it's easy to get bogged down on the 4 hours and be like, oh, this looks bullish, this looks bearish. But on the macro, we're still making lower highs and lower lows. And for all we know, this was the next lower high, right? So we'll have to see. But those are all the wave structures. Nothing's changed in that regard. And of course, we've got the 12-month buyer seller zones, right? We can, one sec. I've already gone ahead and put one on. You can go and put the macro reads, so on and so forth. But the most important one, for sure, was this one right here for now. Because you can see that's the mid of that's what we rejected from, right? You've got confirmed resistance right over here. Distribute, confirm resistance, and then nuke. That's all we do. We find significant levels, and then we wait till price action gives us a probable edge to take a trade. That's it. So that's Bitcoin. Nothing much has changed for now. Like, if you get above 74,507, like I'm talking about, right, and the where's it gone? These levels, great. We can talk about going back towards 80k, but below this, like, it's whatever. Not interested. So if you're bullish right now, you're hoping that this is a raid and that you go and reclaim, right? Maybe do this, put some sort of smiley face in, and then that could send you back higher. But if you're bearish, you're hoping that we just don't recapture this and we just carry on our way down. And the thing is, it would be more bullish if you just kept going down for now, right? Because the quicker we get to those lower levels, the quicker the prices are where actual market participants are going to be interested to throw a big size in. It's not going to happen here, right? If you go higher from here, that's going to be bearish because all we're going to be doing is putting probably another lower high in. We're just going to be extending the time frame within which it takes Bitcoin to actually reach that proper low, most likely, right? So that would be bearish. You go up, like people are looking at it like it's bullish. No, we wouldn't. You're just gonna go. You're gonna confirm this to be resistance, and then you're just gonna. That's just gonna be more highs for you to nuke, right? It'd be more bullish for us to just go get all that done, right? Nuke all these people, put bullish divergence in, whatever, and then go from there. That'd be amazing. That's what you want to see. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out. That's Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Tragic price action on this coin. Again, we are within a completed M shape, so it's not like the end of the world, but it's just taking a while for this thing to pick up, right? 3.0886. One sec. I'm interested in this one. There we go. So here are the volume levels for Ethereum, right? And one thing I want to point out to you guys is this, okay? If you were to take a look at Ethereum's price action, this is now, again, this is a composite chart, right? This is the 10 most high volume exchanges on ETH. So I've got like a wider array of data within the actual allocated range, right? If you were to take a look at that range from that last macro high to last macro low, the standard deviation 0.5 range is literally where we currently are. Okay. Here. If I go to the 4 hours, that should give me the most accurate, because 1 hour just absolutely ruins this because there's too much data. But the 4 hour is the last one where we get proper levels. Just give it a moment for this to load. There you go. As long as this holds, is fine on Ethereum. Okay, like this range, 2065 to 1918, you want that to hold, right? Because you're saying that is where half a standard deviation worth of entire trading data for your previous low to high took place. That's significant, right? Obviously, standard deviation 1, you're below. You can see standard deviation 1 value area high turn to resistance many times before you nuke lower. Below the point of control as well of the said range, right? But as long as you're within this entire zone as a whole, you're fine. But that doesn't mean if you leverage trading, doesn't mean that you just enter in the middle of nowhere. I'll wait for a flip of this or something like this to enter, right? But for spot, like, if you want to try and manage risk, like, these would be the type of areas where you do so. I do hope it goes lower, right? I do hope it goes like lower. But if it doesn't, this would be the area where you, again, take that risk. I just wouldn't go heavy size right now. That's probably all. But there's that. There's the BAT, right? Of course, we've already looked at the BAT, the 3.0, the 886. That's all over here. And this is, what is that? Oh yeah, that is the ABCD. If you take a look at this as well, one sec. We're currently below, currently below all targets for the ABCD. That was the top, right? The 786, 1.272. Again, ABCD. Macro BAT. But for ETH, yeah, you just chuck your yearly buy seller zones on, put some of these wave structures and volumes on, you'll be fine to get going. Okay, one sec. Let me check back to the chat before I carry on. Alright, I'll take a look at JD for you, bro. Yeah, I think software could be a good one, bro. I think software could be a good one. Right, let's take a look at, okay, that's that. Sol, absolutely tragic, honestly. Like, you want to talk just like, nails on glass type of price action. Look no further than Sol, bro. This is filth. This is disgusting. But again, it's above 79. You'd be you'd struggle, like locally speaking, you struggle to find a better area to enter, right? Because as long as you're above 79, you can manage your risk extremely well. You're just within a yearly range here. There's the range I'm talking about. So as long as you're above 79, like it's as simple as this. You could take a long as we speak. I'm not saying go long, but if you're interested in Sol, you're talking about a 10% risk right now, right? That's a tight one. If you're talking wide, you're talking about a 20%. I'd stick with the 10% most likely because I wouldn't want to be caught dead holding position in the red right now. Because we still haven't tapped into the overhead liquidity, right? So you'd be talking about 126 basically. You're talking about a 50% move, a 5-hour trade. Just the question is, even though the opportunity is good, right? The question is, will it play out? That's something we can't answer, and we can't really know. I'd be more likely to say yes, this will definitely play out if Sol was, for example, uptrending. If we were making higher highs and higher lows on the higher time frame, and after that, if we simply just had a pullback that gave us a higher low into support, right? All within trend, all classic price action. It'd be much more likely I'll be able to tell you this looks like a good trade that's most likely going to hit. But that is not the case here. We're trying to take a contradictory play to the current trend. The current trend is absolutely dog shit. It's to the downside. There is no strength, right? So even though the opportunity is there, there's no guarantee it's going to hit. But if I see a good opportunity, I'm going to mark it out to you guys nonetheless, because we don't take a play because we think, oh, it's not going to hit. We take a play because if we like an asset, it's more about how much am I going to lose if I'm wrong, right? So in that regard, this would be an area where you can very easily manage your risk on Solana. But that's the only thing you've got going for you. Trend is shit, price action is shit. Everything about this right now is complete and utter dog shit. So I'm not saying everyone should go and start longing this right now, right? But if you wanted to take like a small spot bet or like a small leverage trade bet, like this would be the area where you did so. The closer you are to 79, the better, right? Hype, we've already looked at it. Insane. Where did it go? It's here. Not hit the 1.618 yet. Link, I want a big one of this for the next cycle. I want a massive link back for the next cycle. You don't even have to complicate it for link. Technically speaking, like your range is extremely clear. It's just here, there. That's the range. You've already hit the mid once. For now, you're SFP in range highs, right? So you might get a shot at buying this at range mid or even lows again. Maybe you actually get a stab into this range here. But this is only if we get bearish enough, okay? In the scenario, Bitcoin does nuke towards 40s, then I will not be surprised by like a $3 link, $3.20 link. I'm saying that right now. But even at that prices, I wouldn't hate it. I would want to own it. Because if you believe in crypto, then you have to believe in Link, in my opinion. It's just how it is. Same with Tau. I like Tau. I'll have a big bag of this for next cycle. Give me the 786. I'll be a very happy man. Like that move back down over here, for example, to the 786, smiley face, revisit this, confirm to be support. That'd be beautiful, right? And then run it up to highs. Ton. This is why you don't buy into random tokens after their pump, right? So I did that stream after everything pump, warning you guys, be careful. Because look, you're just bleeding out again. I mean, looking at it, actually, looking at this, one sec. This is why I love space barring, because you never know when you're going to hit something golden. Don't spaz out on me. You're going to do it. Gonna let me do it. For some reason, some of these composites always act out when you go below the 12 hours. Yeah, below the daily, sorry. Okay, let's do it on Binance instead, since that's the actual highest volume exchange. Do the composite for now, 4 hours. guys wouldn't believe how warm it is in the UK right now, bro. That's good. That's what you want to see. That's beautiful. That 1 hour is nothing to write home about, but that's beautiful. Rate the lows, right? That's that structure there. You rate the lows. Actually, no, you didn't rate it. I thought you did. You rated this, but not that. You rated this. Oh, no, yeah, that's right. You rated that. You just didn't rate this one, but that's fine. Rate the lows. Confirm you have aggressive selling. Yeah, look, there was way more aggressive selling than buying, but buy stepped in here. That looks pretty interesting. Let me just see. How could I manage risk? If you wanted to enter this now, how would you manage your risk is the question. Flip to log to begin with. It's just the risk management aspect of it that's hard, right? Because you'd want to buy this here, and they're doing all that shit here. That's gate. Right, let me take a look. Just gonna go and chop this on. This. If you want to get into TON right now, you have to account for the fact that you have to be okay with basically a 20% drawdown. But your target would be up towards these highs basically. If that's too wide, the only option you have is to take it to the lower time frame and get out if 165.9 is lost. But that is a pullback to a key level that is a double bottom where we see buys have been rewarded, so that could yield a nice move up, right? On time. So something like this, or if you want to play tighter, and you guys actually want hard stops, right? Your hard stop would basically be something like I would definitely want it below the mid. Do you know what? No. Because if you just put it close to this, and if this is lost, then just look to re-enter at the mid instead. That's what I'd say. And in this case, you look to play within the range first. So like, see what happens at this high. If you get above this high, see what happens at this high. If you get above that, that's when you would be talking about the same target. Two different ways to approach it, right? But either way, this would be an area where you can at least manage your risk on time. After the move up, there's the pull down. That weekly is nothing to write home about. Obviously, we still have 2 days left. Trump keeps tweeting every other day that the strait is open, the strait is closed. So who knows, right? Because we cannot forget the fact that here's the thing. If this was the liquidation wick, if you're taking that as the low, technically speaking, the last lower high that led to the lower low was here, in which case the trend hasn't shifted. But if you're discounting this because it's a liquidation, right, it was some sort of forced event that took place, and you, let's say you were to go, for example, to the line chart, right, so just to keep things very, very simple, in that case, the last lower high that led to the lower low has been taken out. And that's the reason I'm saying, just in case this ends up being the trend shift on time, right? It would make sense completely. It would completely make sense to have some exposure to this asset at this particular price. Does that make sense? You just manage your risk how you see fit. I've given you 2 different examples, right? You just do it how you see fit. Whether you want to enter here, DCA through the range, whether you just want to one bang it here and exit if you lose 165. That's up to you. I can't tell you how to manage your risk. That's a very personal thing, right? There is no one size fits all risk management. But exposure, in my opinion, does make sense here. An attempt to build a position does make sense here. Yeah, I can do Tesla chart. Yeah, sure, bro. How? Catch you in more, brother. Glad to have you on board. Okay, so real quick, let's look at SWE, Fed, Aave, and then after that we'll move on to some stocks. Okay, SWE insanely weak, even lost the mid. This is why I like Ton, because Ton is at least holding that up, right? Compare this to Ton. Look, what looks better? Ton, clearly, right? Yeah. I mean, you're back at the, if you missed the original entry, you're back at the lows, right? But this is just another lower high. Don't get it twisted. That is literally just another lower high. XRP. Talk about that another time. Fed looks good. Aave still bleeding. Yeah, Aave looking very weak right now, which is unfortunate. But again, if DeFi does come back with force and ETH picks up, then Aave will get a rotation. Is what it is, right? Zcash, Gainsey tweeted that it's the Zcash can easily 10x from here, and you don't have enough exposure. Literally at the 886, which was at this high. This was literally when Gainsey went and said, "Oh yeah, Zcash can 10x from here. You don't have enough exposure," and then boom, dump. But that was the entry I gave you guys here, right? That was a good entry for Zcash. Near had a beautiful move up as well. Near shot was very, very nice. Like, many alts were doing this, right? So it's just about. So yeah, let's see what Near does. Want to control mid right now though, and don't know if it's gonna flip. We'll just wait till weekly close. Nothing crazy there. Injective, nice move. Literally hit the same low as 2022. Beautiful, right? But at resistance now. Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, same as Solana. Weak, but again, if the last level high, the left low, we count it as that one, this could very well be a trend shift. If that is the trend shift, then this is your smiley face. So again, if you wanted to try and take a play on Jupe, if you flip this zone here, you just enter a position, and if you lose 18 cents, just cut it again. Easy to manage risk, right? But this is the type of areas where you take that bet, asymmetrical bet. Trying to flip highs on tag. Okay, do you know what that is? We looked at virtuals already in the past. We looked at Pendulum in the past. Nothing much has changed. Virtual still looks good. CAS still looks good. Add M-shape completions for all of those. And lit. I was hoping they'd give us this Garley/Deep Garley here. Which they still could, right? Yeah, no, just put it to the 0.6. But yeah, let's see. Anyway, that's all the crypto I wanted to look at today. Like I said, quick one. Nothing much has changed, right? This is why we've so heavily been focusing on equities for my personal portfolio for this past since January basically, right? Because you gotta be able to adapt. Adaptability is the name of the game in the markets. You can't just be like, oh, I trade crypto only, and then just sit at a dead market that's been doing nothing for 5 months, watching all your assets bleed as the simplest trades just outperform, right? Easily outperform. When there's a whole narrative, there's a whole infrastructure in place right now to pump a particular section of the market. You've got to pay attention to it, and which is why we've been so stock focused instead of crypto focused, and we've been doing well, right? So we completely outperformed anything crypto could have given us. So when the time is right, of course, I'm not saying, oh yeah, crypto's dead forever. I'm just saying, it's like I said, adaptability. When it looks like, okay, these alts look bottomed out, and for example, like Ton right now, you would take a shot, I would take a shot, right? But just many of these alts, many of these crypto coins, they're just the areas where there's no strength, there's no structure, there's no nothing, absolutely nothing to their name. And I hope that changes soon, but we'll see, right? Like we will get a chance at these, right? These will reprice higher at some point relative to where we buy. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take and how much are you going to miss out on simply just staring at crypto charts every day as equities just keep running higher and higher and higher. Things keep making new highs, right? New things are running 20-30% every day. That's it. So let's look at stocks then. So just real quick, MX, if anyone that remembers, we talked about this in our semiconductor stream. We literally talked about it down over here. And then I mentioned this in the stream and this retest happened, right? Reconfirming that lower support. And also the next time I gave this in stocks chat saying, okay, if you accept above this circled area, you're in. The acceptance came literally over here, right? That acceptance came right over here. Flip above, so it's up 118% from when we actually got above that level, right over there. They had to hold this in trading this morning because it was so volatile. It gapped up massively, as you can see. This is what I'm talking about. How many cryptos are there that's just giving you 118% clean, right? Completely clean, narrative backed, easy to trade, easy to see, easy to manage your risk on, and actually has volume behind it. 12.76 million traded today, right? MX, that's Magnachip Semiconductor Corporation. Enphase, this one outperformed as well, but like I said, intersections have been hit now, right there, which is why I took profits, right? And closed it on my CFD account. But yeah, we'll go through all of these. So let's look firstly for requests, there was JD and Tesla. JD's right here. Right, this is just retail trade. Retail just doesn't have a narrative. Like, this is what I keep saying. Look, as good as this is, why do I like it? Obviously, it's a very beautiful areas. If you take a look where we are, massive support, right? We know these are the range lows for this chart. That is obvious. What else? 886, you have a macro bat right over there. Not only that, but then the following wave structure that's come in has also given you a bat. Now the bat hasn't necessarily gave you a actual 886 hit yet, right? But you can build a nice little PRZ with it, right? Let's do that. Yes, the bat is not deep enough to be a godly. But you've got this beautiful area where you can easily manage your risk, right? But just because it's there doesn't mean that it's going to catch a rotation yet. Narrative is very much energy-based, in my opinion, power production, right? And one thing I think many people are overlooking is actually just energy, electricity generation as a whole, right? Everyone's focusing on semiconductors, everyone's focusing on AI, right? And of course, there's bottlenecks to these things, and what the bottlenecks have been, of course, semiconductors. They've been the things you need to make those semiconductors run. But one thing on a very basic level that I don't see many people talking about is, what do you need? What is the one thing you need to make that entire structure run? It's simply power, electricity, right? So you're looking at your oils, you're looking at anything like green energy, you're looking at nuclear. I think all of these, if you see these are good areas, I think for the next decade, that's a beautiful one. Because if you think AI is here to stick and it's not just a bubble that's going to deflate and just pop and be useless over time, then you have to fundamentally believe that, okay, in that case, power generation is going to be very, very important, right? And unfortunately, JD doesn't fall in the narrative. It's just a retail shop, right? So as the structures are good, and if you see an area where you can manage your risk, then why not go for it? But you wouldn't be surprised if it didn't give you massive returns, right? Because this is going to be very much based on news. There'd be no fundamental reason behind why JD popped. Like maybe they have a big merger, maybe someone invests in them, or who knows, maybe JD comes out tomorrow and says we're pivoting to AI. If that was the case, then sure, you could get back to ANC again. But realistically, are they going to do that, right? Why would JD pivot to AI? You got to ask yourself questions like this, right? And in that case, how much room is there for growth in this particular market cap? I'd say not much. It's a retail trade. It's very simple. You make goods, you buy goods, you sell goods, you try to make a gross profit, right? But the chart itself, again, I'm not denying the structure in the chart. The chart is nice, for sure. Just do this. I think I need to factory reset my laptop, bro. This thing's been dying on me recently. I kid you not. Even if I just open up YouTube, it will absolutely just nuke And I think it's a what's going on? Oh dear, one sec, guys. What the fuck? One sec. Just give me a minute, guys. Don't know what it is, but just wait for this to stop acting up. Right. Okay. But that right there is JD for harmonics. There. There's your target for the big one. Hit the front run and died, right? And that monthly right now doesn't quite inspire confidence. So here's the thing. Even if you hit key levels, and here's the difference between a good buy and a reactive buy. A reactive buy is what I call when someone sees a key level's been hit, so they just buy, thinking, okay, a key level's hit, now's the time to go. But 99% of the time, a key level being hit is not enough for you to warrant a full-size position. It just isn't. It's okay if it's the lower time frame, right? Because if you're scalping, it's a different story. The mindset, the technicalities, the actual baseline strategy for scalping has to vary. It has to be different to swings. But for a swing position, right, just hitting an 886 isn't enough for you to be like, you know what, let me put my entire, portfolio into this or whatever, your entire position size. It might work out, it might, right? But what raises the probability of a trade going in your favor is a particular set of things that need to happen after a low is hit. Now, they don't need to happen exactly the same, but what you want to see, number one, signs of accumulation. Do we see signs of accumulation here? We're beginning to see it, right? You had the initial reactive low, gave you a smiley face. That's a good sign. You popped up, you took out the last lower high that led to the lower low, and now you're putting higher lows in. That's a good sign. You're talking about a potential trend shift, right? That second wave down also came with an M shape, right? That's a good sign. You've got completed wave structures here. But you want to see some more, right? You want to see things like this. You want to see go up, come back down, but maybe another M shape, could have a higher low, right? You want to see aggressive sellers being trapped. You want to see aggressive buyers being rewarded, right, on a high enough scale, not just on the daily. And I feel like we haven't had all of that to its full extent here, right? Because the following retest here doesn't exactly inspire confidence, right? Give us 3 rising valleys, right? Give us things like this. Just basic signs of accumulation. We just haven't had enough yet. So for me, this would still fall under reactive, right? But again, that doesn't mean you can't trade it. But just understand, it's not going to go to, for example, $74 straight away. I don't think that's going to happen. That is extremely, extremely unlikely. Those are targets that come like after all the accumulation's done, right? And for example, in another monthly, you can't look at this and say, oh yeah, accumulation looks like it's done. It just doesn't. So that's JD. Let's look at Tesla next, and then I'll catch up with the chat. 1 second. In fact, let me look at Tesla over here first. Tesla. So it's this one. Tesla is a big chart. That right there was a beautiful area to try and bid some. At resistance right now, I wouldn't touch it. Let's look at it fresh, bro. I always get confused after a while if I haven't looked at a chart. Let's look at it fresh, one sec. Let's put Tesla on that to be watching. I'm going to re-go over semiconductors tomorrow evening, guys, because now that I think the majority of the semiconductors are popped off, the mid-tier semiconductors are popped off, so now we've got to look at the low caps, right? There's a few still waiting to go. I know that's a simple enough way to look at it, to be honest. Tesla will, listen, this will go. Tesla, I'll be surprised if this thing doesn't hit 4 figures at some point in the future, right? I do think it has the potential to do that. It's just a matter of when. But obviously that isn't enough. So let's take a look. Why does this look so different to the one we're looking at before? Two things to look at. Number one, number two. If you want it, number three. You can see why you just wouldn't buy quite yet, right? If you want to bid this, wait until this pulls back to this zone between 414 and 403 for now, right? And see what kind of reaction you get there. Or wait until that very simple level just above you, 449 to 446 is flipped. If you're trying to bid here, you're not swinging this, okay? It's got to be, at a minimum, it's got to be a scalp to swing. Otherwise, I would just favor scalps. This is no place to look for swing positions. You look for swings here when you actually attack this from the top side down, not when you're attacking from the bottom side up. But that's going to be, you're going to make a lot of money just in this range. Make a lot of money. And you best believe if this flips, I will look for longs. Now that you mentioned this, it looks good, right? This to this. But for now, I wouldn't do anything, bro, for Tesla. I'd wait for that to flip. You're just too close to resistance, right? No matter how good something looks, buying below resistance, we know news isn't what moves charts, right? It's going to be, everything's going to be pre-positioned. Market maker's always going to be pre-positioned. So, to the downside, 2.5, 2.4. To the downside, what do we have? Well, we have the potential for an 886 should things not go our way. Right over here. I'm not saying this will definitely happen. This is just an idea for now, right? Just because I draw M shape doesn't mean it's going to hit. You know, the B point being lost will drastically increase the probability of this actually being true. But for example, if you cannot get above this, then we're looking at something like this, in my opinion, right? In the longer time frame, wouldn't be surprised. But very simple. Just wait till that there gets flipped. And if that gets flipped, easy scalp to 474 minimum. You've already rejected from it. Okay. That's Tesla. Yeah, Docu's a big name in the space, but when you look at when I shared Docu, I didn't share it with the aim of getting people in thinking, oh yeah, this is like the next big play, right? This was simply a number one. If you compare this to JD, your risk management is 100 times easier, right? Compare that to JD, it was super tight. Your risk management here was like less than 10%. It was, how much was it when I shared this, right? It was here. Yeah, you're talking about 7.36% weight, right? Very easy. JD's like 30% something. Big difference in terms of risk management, number one. And number two, if I compare this to JD, I don't think I'm mistaken in saying JD isn't breaking out of any trend lines yet. One sec. And that is something I always pay attention to, because as simple as it is, it's simply showing you which side of the trade you're on, right? Like if you're trying to bid something and it is actually broken out, I mean, it has, technically speaking. Let me compare this to, I've not actually compared JD and Docu side by side. So, no, I mean, in terms of trend lines, they're the same. They're both broken out, but here's the thing. JD has had time to move. And for now, it's had its initial move up and it decided it's going to come back down. That's a failed attempt to actually even hit the 382, right? The Docu, on the other hand, it hasn't had any impulsive move yet from the breakout. Like, Docu has had its type 2 still within the trend line, right? So now that it's out of the trend line, it's done its big M shape. It's done a type 2 of the big M shape, where you've had some sort of type 2 return that's reactive, and your risk management was so easy to manage here, right? So again, this is a completely reactive trade, right? I've not shared Docu saying, oh, this is the next big thing, everyone should put their own whole portfolio into this. This was simply a trade where something is absolutely gutted out and it's so easy to manage risk. When you have something like that, you just put, something little, you don't have to worry about it, like 5K, 10K, 15K, just forget about it, right? Either you stop it, or eventually you go to T1, T2, so on and so forth. And right now, Docu is good to at least go towards 63.66. I hope it does. That'd be nice. We've got a 40% move from entry. And 618, if it hits, that'd be obviously double that. So that'd be around 75, 80%. Yeah. But the reason I shared Docu, and the reason I personally entered Docu and not JD, is simply because I can throw size in here and not worry about anything. Because again, risk management is so easy. It doesn't matter. It's at the precipice of a breakout. It's just completed its second M shape. So I've got the early factor. If I enter JD now, I won't be early. And secondly, JD, like, if you look at JD, look what it's doing. You don't see consolidation per se. You're just bleeding down from your type 2, right? What is Docu doing? It's hit its type 2 and it's consolidating. That's what you want to see. It's not bleeding. It's not losing low, so on and so forth, right? So from a technical perspective, Docu looked way better than JD. That's the reason I gave Docu as an actual play. And why I've entered it myself as well. And not JD, right? Obviously, everyone has a limited amount of, you can't just enter every single play either. So you have to try and find something that, you just look at and you can be like, yeah, that looks really, really good. In terms of risk management, in terms of just like your risk to reward, in terms of how just easy it is to manage, everything just has to line up, right? And I think, yeah, Docu looked way better than JD in that aspect. So this, see if I can find my Docu entry. Where is my Docu entry? This is my Docu play. Am I even fully positioned in this? I'm trying to remember. I don't think I am. Oh no, I'm fully positioned, yeah, good. This is my Docu entry. I'll just put it in chat. So it's not moved much, obviously. You can see the chart's hardly moved. But it was easier. I could throw size in because it was 7% risk. So now it's risk free. Either I get stopped out, or I'll just get stopped out in profit, or it runs up to target and I'll close. Like, that's what it is. Side. But yeah, like, that entry was easy, man. And I imagine trying to get JD, like, you don't have structure on your side, right? You don't have anything on your side here. Something's bleeding against you, actively bleeding against you. All you have is the fact there's a key level there. You're not consolidating, you're not doing anything. Like, it's just completely different. Even though the overall arching structure looks the same, there's just so many fundamental differences that, in my opinion, made Docu superior in terms of a play, which is why this is the one I gave you guys. This is one, if you guys are fading this, just keep an eye on it, right? It's breakout alert. I hope this just starts grinding up now. I'm positioned in this. We mentioned this one many times, QRPO. There's a handful of semiconductor stocks left that actually look like this, that haven't had a run. They're running out by the day, so I've got to make the most of it, right? Run is another one. Guys, if you missed anything with structure, keep an eye on Run. one of the few semiconductor stocks that has structure on its side and is still not really moved. So at some point, money's probably going to rotate into this run. I'm in this already. SMCI, this one we talked about many times on stream, and I said if you ever flip that high into support, you enter, right? So it's up 33% today. Well, not today, but like to date, since that flip, or 34.24%. I closed some positions this morning when I alerted you guys in stock chat. But apart from that, I'm holding the rest because it's only a 30% move. The rest I'll close. Because if we break off this, I think this goes towards 2025 highs. So that's where I'll close the rest, somewhere in this region. Because after that, again, I don't care about holding in CFD, right? BlackBerry, nice, so close to hitting that. BlackBerry is something, actually, I've not baited this one. Obviously, we more than 2x'd on the challenge account, so I took profits on that one already. But for BlackBerry, we have this. This is my CFD entries. My CFD entries are higher than the low, but obviously way more size on it because it's now more in trend, right? So BlackBerry's doing well. I'm just keeping an eye on it because if I see weakness here, I don't care if 935 doesn't get tapped, I will close and take profit. It's beautiful because we were talking about BlackBerry last year. It's not like we only started looking at this now. Like I positioned you guys in this, I positioned in the challenge account on this from last year, right? 2025. We did it like all the way from like down over here somewhere. It's just beautiful to see eventually it work out, right? That's it. Patience is the name of the game with any of these things. It's like, think about it. Just look at the chart overall, and I want you guys to go back and look at how many days you typically have before something starts going parabolic. Loads, right? People try to time like, oh, they want to enter here and they want to sell here. It's like, that's really hard because majority of the times you're going to be in moments like this in the market where you're not going to really make any big decisions. So when you're at these areas where it makes sense to then make those bigger decisions, because these are the areas where it makes sense to load up, manage your risk, you've got to take it. Okay, I was going to go through some some stocks today, some semiconductor stocks, some that haven't really moved. But I think I'll do that tomorrow evening, guys. So if you guys are free tomorrow evening, definitely pop in. I'll just go through some overall ones here. Nokia. This is an example of me using buy-seller zones and point controls in Harmony. We touched the top of it. I'll be so disappointed if it doesn't give us this. I hope it does. This is just so unappealing to look at. It just gaps up every single time, but every single time it's just gap up, gap up, gap up, gap up, gap up, gap down, gap down. Like it's insane. I've never seen a stock or any asset for that matter gap up and down as much as Nokia does. It's just crazy. Hill, right? Some of these we've already talked about, but Hill above this, easy area to scalp, manage risk. You send it towards 8, 9, right? Above this range, you go higher. And H-lit, this is the other one. There's gonna be loads of people getting horny at the top of it here. But remember, you are entering, if you enter here, you're entering at the top of a range, right? You want starter positions for spot, that's fine. But do not make the mistake of entering big size over here, please. I shared this because like you are genuinely coming out of a 26-year range, right? Genuinely. But that does not mean this is the point of breakout, okay? This is simply the area where you pay attention in case it is the point of breakout, which for now, you've rejected. But if you do break above, you have a nice ABCD target taking it all the way up to $25. Literally on the dot, $25. 618, 1.618. That's the target. But you know, if someone has been accumulating this for this long, right? You know, there's a low at 0.3, right? There's a low at 0.0. You have all of these just slow building up all of this time. I struggle to see why they would be happy with this just going to 25. Like I would, if I've been spending this long accumulating it within range, I would want this thing to just blast off, bro. Because look, the thing we have, the advantage and disadvantage structure like this. If you look at the yearly, this is a straight Burj Khalifa. The disadvantage of this is we don't really have much points and data to work with. But the advantage is, realistically speaking, what you're saying is on the yearly, if you break above these highs, the next point of price action we got is literally 96, 99, 100. You would not be surprised if these get revisited. You wouldn't. 100% you would not be surprised. It's just how the markets work, right? Now, obviously, you can go down the time frames and you can see more stuff. But even on something like the 3 months, you don't have much to go with. Like you have this high maybe at 35. Above that, what do you have? Like this, 58, right? Still way higher targets. So it might not be now, but at some point, HLIT will break above, right? And this thing will stand. That's what it is. You can't fade high time frame accumulation like this. A few more just for today. Here you go. Another one I mentioned in the stocks chat and on streams as well. This one is SWKS, right? Skyworks Solutions, semiconductors again. If you flip this high, 78.25, you flip the high, then you're looking for a move to the upside. Where you're looking for, well, easy, just look to the left. Which yields you 50% move, 40 to 50% move, right? If you break above that, it will yield you probably 150% plus, 163% plus. Because above this, you don't really have much structure. Like I would pretty much think you go and take the highs out at that point. So that's Skyworks Solutions. That's something you can manage your risk on now, right? You're just managing your risk around this yellow box easy. Nano nuclear energy. It's an energy play, like I mentioned. This one I'm already in. Bad 2.618. Smiley face. That is structure. That's what you want to see, right? So now, let's see what happens when you get the 382. We always have more time than we think. Can't be surprised if they revisited these areas again in the future. But overall, I would want to see this trend higher. There's SEDG again, already in this green. Again, all of these are shared, right? When I entered these in the stocks chart, this right here, 67 to 63 was the get above that you're in. For anyone who wasn't in, right? You got off that very nicely right over here. That's a beautiful candle tensor on. You could make genuinely you could have a strategy where you don't even hold spot. You could have a strategy where all you do is scalp, but you scalp with size, and you would be profitable. You might not make like 100K or something holding a trade, right? But if you can make 5K, 10K, right? Just off like a 20-30% move because you got some size behind a trade on a scalp, you're not going to be complaining. Now my strategy is a mix between scalp and scalp to swing for a reason, right? Because some coins are going to be better suited to scalping, or in this case, some tickers, some are going to be better suited for swings, straight swing plays. But if this mid gets flipped, this zone is where we're going to chop, we're going to struggle. So the most bullish case would be to just bullishly engulf that and start vertically accumulating above. If that happens, this thing goes towards, basically that's what I'm after, the D point. Get the shark, fiver, and then from there you can send it back, whatever, right? There's a lot. SMR, another one, right? This is New Scale Power Corporation. So just like NNE, this is another power play. I'm in this one as well. For the long-term back, structure, low, reconfirm that lower support. Now if you can go and flip this down, look absolutely gorgeous. Now we've had a beautiful gap up on this today. If anyone skipped this, I got a question, what the hell you're doing, okay? Because I gave you this when it could not be easier to manage risk. I gave you now literally at this area here. You had, when we're looking at it, I'm pretty sure it was you had like a 5% stop loss, okay? So if anyone faded such a tight stop loss here, I will not have any of you moaning that you missed this trade. This was such an easy one to manage risk on. If not here, then where the hell were you going to pull that trigger? You've got to ask yourself, okay? This was, out of all the trades I've given you, one of the easiest ones in terms of RR, because you had all of this completion point and price was sat smack bang right over there. All you had to do was pull the trigger and be like, okay, if it drops 4 to 6%, I'm cutting, that's it. This was so easy to manage. Service now. I only entered spot in this because I was like, okay, I've already entered so many CFD positions. I don't want to get my margin health to like ridiculously low levels. So I was like, yeah, you know what? let's cool off on the CFD for a bit. Let's take some profits, and then let's just enter spot instead. That's why I only put £10,000 in. I didn't put in much, but still, that's a good move. So now I know a few people entered this. Docu, again, we talked about this one. This was easy to manage too. QRVO, super easy to manage. It was literally around 90.64. Got run, we've already looked at this, right? What would you do on run now, for example? Just wait till this flips. I'm not gonna have you guys, no matter how good it looks, I'm not gonna have you enter add resistance, right? Just wait until this happens. It can happen literally on the 15 minutes if you want it to. You just want, like, if you wanted to, you could scalp this on the 15, right? As long as if 1645 is lost, exit, otherwise hold. But this is the zone on the higher time frame, like the 4 hours, the daily. This needs to be support, and if that becomes support, run's gonna go to range highs, and what we need to see is a break of range highs, right? We need to break above range highs. That's when magic happens on run. You go higher, way higher. Estee Lauder. Now that the new guys have already been sworn in, right? So at some point, I do think this will get crimed. But let's see. I do like it. I'm already in this one. Avex, again, this is something I shared with you guys way before. And I said, as long as you're above this, right? Where is it? There. You have the BAT 886 and you have the butterfly. As long as you're above these, you're in Avex, right? Because if you lose that butterfly low, you just exit. If this is lost, you exit because then you know these are going to get nuked, right? You never lost it. Up 61%. And to this one in the challenge account. Let's take a look at DLX. What is it doing? I think this one gave us the retest finally. If I look at DLX, actively watching right here. This is the retest for DLX, so it's that's it. Either it holds or it doesn't. What you want to see it do, you want to see it break above the Guardian 1.618, and you want to see it reclaim that diagonal with force. But it's holding the 0.5, and you just need, you can see how many times we've distributed in this area. So I think it's going to take a little while to accumulate. But this is where you want that accumulation to take place. Accumulation in an area where there's been distribution before, i.e., area where sellers were in control, flipping to an area where buyers are in control now, right? That's what you want to see here. If that happens, run it to $38. Rivian's on crack today. But once again approaching resistance, I'm not sure what it will do here. We're just gonna have to wait and see. This has been very, very big resistance for Rivian. So let's see what it does. APTV. I'm not sure if I shared this one with you guys yet, but it was looking good. Yeah, I really like this one because it was at a very, very interesting area right over here. I think I might have shared this one in Crypto Chat, but if I didn't, it's a shame. I was spacebarring the other day through one of the other sections, and I saw this one. I like those. I don't like those candles. Almost not. Just keep an eye on a $66.04 for this one. If that flips, you have an easy scalper swing, like all the way to 83. That's your range. Because this is liquidity now, right? If this flip happens, then I won't be surprised if it goes up over here. If that's lost, however, just wait for the price to come back down over here again. Simple. Nothing much to say for this one here. Now this one was this is the one I said sharing is a low cap, right? This is power as well. This is more like, you know, ocean power and stuff. So I put a small bet on the challenge account for this one for a longer term hold. Like if we again, if not here, then where, right? Because if this is lost, easy, you just cut until price basically moves these lows. That's what you'd be thinking. But otherwise, it was very, very easy to manage risk right over here for OPTT. And then there's BWEN. BWEN is giving us a retest of the trend line as we speak. That's worth keeping in mind. What you don't want to do is lose this, right? BWEN's fine as long as it like retests and holds this zone. You don't want to lose this because if that's lost, you're going to attack range lows again. So the entry trigger I gave was if the mids get flipped, enter. Right? You can scalp between the range. That's why I circled the two levels. But otherwise, just wait. But I do like BWEN, simply because again the structure is nice, right? This is all the way from like 2010. It's like a 16-year structure. It's going sideways. The lows have been rated once already. Smiley face is there on the higher time frame. We just need some sort of trend shift. Like you flip that and then BWEN goes. Random spacebar find, honestly. I don't know what the company is. I don't know what it does. But that gap even got filled. Like I do like this chart. Like look at this. It's hard not to like this chart if you're a technical trader, right? If you like its structure. And it just sort of reminds me of like, obviously it's not the same like market as XT, right? Because obviously XT had the whole dominion over indium phosphate. That's the whole reason I entered that play. I gave it to you guys, and it ran so hard. In fact, that's something I need to update because I clearly got out on XT too quick. But there's just no way to know these things, right? I don't sit there thinking, oh, I should have held XT because obviously with that money I made on XT, I entered Enphase, I entered Redwire, right? They're all six-figure plays, so it doesn't really matter. But XT has just been ripping, bro. But the structure sort of reminds me of it because actually there's something similar where it was just forgotten about, just going sideways for the longest time, right? And then all of a sudden we know what happened next, right? So it's just, I love taking chances at charts like this, and that's all. If this thing ever gets above this $14 level, BWEN will fly. It will absolutely fly. Alright, so let's take a look. I want to actually take a look at XT. Oh wait, quick. This was one of the other semiconductor plays I gave you guys. It's been doing very, very well, just grinding up. Obviously we know what Redwire did. Absolute banger this one was. It's one even higher actually. That's 124% even from the secondary entry on Redwire. 2025 highs have been pinged. If it gets above this, I think yeah, new all-time highs imminent Redwire. Insane. So if this pulls back and it gives us like a retest at any of these lower levels, I will most likely re-enter because I don't want to miss that. In case it does reprice way higher, I don't want to miss that. Right, so let's finish off by looking at XT today. XT, yeah, this thing has been insane. Nice dump today, beautiful. But apart from that, from the point where I exited, which was like 80.24 or something like this, it's up like another 76%, bro. I sat there thinking, what the hell is this thing doing? At some point, you got a question, right? Is this thing alright in the head, bro? Are we okay? Why are we still bidding this, right? But from actual entry, and that's the beautiful part, from actual entry, which is going to be somewhere around here, the mid, right? It's around $18, if I remember correctly.
Weatherman, when you were up 20x on this, did you notice how the public started like entertaining this stock? How it's like the only material for as a public stock to mine for semiconductors and all that, and then it started creating a top once the public started noticing.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like that's it, right? It's always too late. Like things, 99% of the time will always be priced in before the majority get hold of it. That's just how information in this space works. At some point, this will have a biblical pullback, is what I'm hoping. I've not shorted this yet, just because I'm not going to short something like this based simply on the fact to hit a log level, right? I'm going to wait for some more structure here. But if we go and do something like this, for example, you make a lower high 124, anything like this, I will look for shorts back to the downside on this.
Yeah.
But if it flips, it'll just carry on. This is what it is. But yeah, actually insane.
Insane run. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Today's been a good market open, and I was thinking why, but then I saw the news of apparently the Strait's been opened again. I was thinking, like, what's going on? Like, these people keep changing their minds. But I'm literally in like some of the best trading streaks I've had, like, in a while. Like, I've not had a streak this good in a long time. Because this morning I woke up to this, and I was thinking it's probably going to take me a couple more, like, I was thinking maybe like a month or something to hit this level if everything kept going at the same pace. But then BlackBerry did his thing, and SMCI did his thing and stuff. So if I was to just share this, the 50k account is
Did you 10x it?
It has more than 10x officially. It's currently
Oh,
set
man.
at this. Hang on, I'll share it with you guys. Let me find it. Where is it? For this one. No, it's not that one. One sec. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. 561224. Out of that, 330 or something is realized. I think I posted it earlier. So
Wow.
that 225 506 is unrealized, meaning obviously like it's not technically a 10x yet because I've not taken that off. It's not mine. But you know, I realize once I get rid of BlackBerry, I'm just waiting to see if it shows me weakness or not. That will go down. So, but yeah, I've not had a run this good in a long time, bro. Because 2024 and 2025 were good, but like alts didn't do as well as I thought they would have. Right? We didn't get an alt season, let's be honest. We just got we caught the moves because I got you guys in at the lows, but we didn't like reprice biblically higher, right? We didn't get that 10, 20, 30, 40x we're looking at on alts. So that was underwhelming. Obviously in 2022, 2023, I would have had a very, very good run if I hadn't messed up NFTs so bad, because I've been very open about this. I made like 1.7 in NFTs, 1.7 mil in NFTs, but then literally gave all of that back because instead of switching back to Sol, I kept everything in NFTs, kept trying to flip him, and the whole market went down the shit, right? So I literally all of that went through my fingers. So I've not had a run this good in like a while. But the investor account where the 50k was, that's currently at 80k. That's 30k profit. But this one, the CFDs is what I've been trading nicely. This one's been really, really well. Yeah, bro. BlackBerry, I think I'm going to be... Let me just keep an eye on it. I don't want to miss the potential low, or rather potential high.
Taxes are due.
Yeah. Well, I calculated the other day based on my actual realized profits. I think so far, up until yesterday, it was 64k. I think. So since I realized another 20k this morning on SMCI, that's going to go up. I need to calculate it again. But after I take BlackBerry, I'll definitely be paying about like 100 and something thousand in tax, which is daylight. That's so painful to say, bro. It's insane. But it's what it is. It's two truths to the world, you know. There's getting old and the tax, man. Those are just fundamental truths to this world, unfortunately. Yeah, bro. Dude, I remember talking to you about BlackBerry like ages ago, brother.
They need to turn to a data center.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, same as Nokia got a big investment in it as well, right? For the same reasons, BlackBerry.
So
Nokia
yeah, I heard like a couple years ago, I heard on the news where BlackBerry was like transforming their company into AI security. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because I
Yes.
know the original BlackBerry is fucking rock solid as far as it comes to security.
Yeah, the software was incredible. It was so good.
Yeah, very much so. So I was like, all right. And then I looked chart, and then I know BlackBerry pumped with AMC and GameStop and all the other meme stocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just looked at the chart, and it had already retraced back down. I said, all right. So I just started accumulating. And yeah, I just, whenever I logged in last week, I saw it was hitting a key inflection area. I was like, all right, I'm taking a big chunk off here.
Yeah, bro. For spot, yeah. Since I'm in CFD, I have to take profits here, because we don't know how long it's going to be. They might take this back, grind sideways. That's what I mean. Structure's just not fully in yet, still, right? For this, like, this isn't, again, this is not what you would call like higher time frame bottoming structure. What you have right now is the reaction of a smiley face, which is nice, but you want to see it come down, put a higher low in, give us an M shape into that zone, confirm that validity of that M shape. Yeah, that's what you want to see, and that's where you want to react and size up is if you get that.
Yeah, it took me like 10 seconds to realize that like it's not going to go parabolic yet.
Yeah,
it needs another probably couple of years of a year or two of sideways movement.
It might go a bit higher, but that's what incremental TPs are for. But yeah, the big moves aren't going to happen. Yeah, we'll get more time. Sort of like what Baba did, right? This is an example I give, because before Baba had a big run, this is like, you had your initial move, came back down, completed an M shape back into the same area where you would have bought first. The M shape gave you a smiley face, then you started grinding sideways, grinding up over time. You went up, put another high level. That's the kind of structure you want to see, right? That is premium. You do not fade that. You just buy spot and forget about it, because you're just thinking it just needs time before we go higher. This is what many stocks right now are missing, because many things are reacting based on narratives, right? We need this for it to be actually substantiated and roll over into like more parabolic runs, like bigger moves. We need these kind of structures to come in. But yeah, that is so. BlackBerry, I'll alert you guys once I close it. I don't think I'll full TP, but I'll take a big chunk.
There's another one I'm up massively on. I was wondering if you could take a look at Real, REAL.
Real, okay. I think you mentioned that one before to me, brother.
Yeah, it's another one. I'm up massively, and it's pulled back, and I'm just wondering if this is an area for compounding.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to roll some BlackBerry and Nokia profits over into it if it is, and
it falls on the internet retail. Perfect. Let's take a look. Oh, wait, why am I looking at it? 1 second, go back. I want to look at it here. The stocks too. It's Real. What was I on? Was it 3? It was 1. The best thing I did was take like a week out of my life to just chart every single, or rather to make a stock list of every single ticker in NASDAQ, because now I can just spacebar through everything, see what looks good. If you guys are wondering why the hell am I spamming so many charts, it's because I've literally charted everything there is in NASDAQ. Right? I mean, I've made like a ticker list out of everything. You literally notice like, every single thing. That's why I've got so many up here as well. Right, everything up until that point anyway. Obviously, new stocks will be added. I need to update this once in a while. But that's why I'm spamming you guys with so many charts, because I can pretty much spacebar through everything there is. Right? Oh wait, sorry, here, 1 sec. Let's get off log once. Nice, good structure. The trend is to the upside. You would look to join it. You would not fade it. Let's see. I would love a pullback to this, just off the bat. 2020 low. I don't know if okay, let's take a look. Actually, well, you don't even need to worry about 2020 low right now. There's your, yeah, beautiful, bro. Already tapped the mid in 2026. That looks like a 618, honestly. That's within the realms of a godly. we can just be a bit cheap. I mean, even if you do that, that is completely valid for a Carly. Like I'd say that's a Carly, but you can just do this. There you go. Because this is your next lower high, next swing. Okay, so 786 first and foremost. This is the Gartley. $886 after, so this would be the first area you consider, because if this is broken, we know what's happening next, right? We're gonna blast off. And your levels might vary slightly differently if you decide to just go for that extreme to the left, right? Which I recommend you do, honestly. This is just me being a little neat and wanting the exact ratios. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with just doing this. And your measurements will be slightly different, but it won't really affect it that much. Like your lines will pretty much line up. But for all of you doing this at home, I'd just say do this. That, right? Because that's close enough for a Gartley. I just want exact ratios. I prefer it that way. And if that's broken out of, then I'm looking for a 1.618. Basically 21 minutes.
That is sexy. So, you just confirmed exactly what I was seeing. I was like, yeah, this is likely a pullback before a retest of the highs.
Yeah, and as long as that low is held, that's going to be like, if you have until the 886 to mess around here. And even if you go a bit lower, then you just changed it from this to a sharp, you can still go towards these targets of the 1.13. And this is what's nice about once something goes into an uptrend. It's very easy to actually join in. Here's your demand zone. You've tapped into it. You've not really exceeded it. So in the case you do have one more drop down, I look for a sharp 1.13, and then a 1.13 extension here, something like that.
Man,
but that looks good, brother. Yeah. Well, this is if you're looking to recompound. It's easy enough to do it here, just slowly.
Right. I did a little a couple days ago, not much, like, a couple $100.
Yeah.
Like very small. I don't want to fuck my average up.
Yeah.
And then
That's
when it does pull back into that shark, then I'm underwater. Yeah. I'm not trying to do that because I've already took profits on that big pump up. And so I'm just looking to compound again.
Yeah. I think there's a completed shark here already. No. Yes, it's because this is here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a short. So we might get like a 5 to the upside. That gap gets filled at some point. But yeah, if you get above 975, right now below a yearly level, but above 975, bro, this will, at a minimum, you're looking at a gap fill mid to around 1150. And then if you flip that, yeah, you're game.
Love it.
Yeah, that's good. Nice one. I still need to go through so many spacebar, and I haven't had time. But off the top of my head, guys, ClearSpark, keep that one in your watch list as well. Just things that are good that haven't moved. Let's look at a BTC. There was a miner that pivoted from BTC mining to like AI. I forgot what the company's name was. Does anyone remember?
TerraWolf.
Was it TerraWolf?
When you mean AI, you mean data centers?
Yeah, I think it's data centers. It was very recent.
Yeah, it was TerraWolf. We sold that fucking
TerraWolf,
shit.
And there's C3.
C3, okay.
Yeah. C3
we all bought TerraWolf at like $2 a long time ago.
Yeah, bro. TerraWolf.
They were the first to do it.
That was a when I was first
you got it on your list right there.
People were like, one sec, was in this one.
Ticker Wolf with the U.
That's the one, yeah.
They were the first company to like flip to data centers from being a Bitcoin miner.
I remember calling this one. I was in Unity when I called this one. I remember. Yeah, all the way down over here, bro. I was saying, yeah, Wolf looks good, guys.
Yeah.
It looks very, very good. From that entry, it was 7. I'm all out of this already. I don't know it anymore. But yeah, that was an insane entry.
Well, they're at like listing highs too,
Yeah.
or I guess they're above it now. Robinhood's listing.
Yeah. That's why it's like people.
Robinhood listed them at $35. So
$35,
they
yeah.
they basically did a Binance dump when they got listed on Robinhood.
Yeah. I mean, Robinhood is pretty much the Binance of equities, isn't it? Like all the scammers they've been through. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this looks so good. Not that you'd get in here, massive resistance, but yeah, you get some sort of massive pullback on this. It'd be a good.
No, I was gonna say a short doesn't look the worst though.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's T2.
It doesn't look the worst if it's a triple top.
If I'm not mistaken, we have a shark here. That's the original I called this was because I saw the shark.
I've never shorted a stock before, but
It's fun, bro. It's very, very fun.
it's fun.
It feels like you shouldn't be doing this because it's like traditional equities now, right? It's like shorting crypto, like fair enough, like we're degens anyway, but shorting stocks,
Yeah.
it feels different. It feels almost wrong, but once you do it, it's very, very good. Because when stocks dump, bro, they dump really, really well. I think the reason, because this was one of those rare occasions where I actually used the Cypher tool to draw a shark. Now, don't follow me when I do this, guys. 99% of the time, literally just use your, should be here. There you go. Yeah. I was basically thinking in terms of a Cypher, like this was perfect, right? 3.618. Just below the 1.618, within the parameters of a shark, 1.618 extension. All the ratios were lining up, right, in terms of a Cypher. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to bang this to the Cypher. With a Cypher tool and play it based on that, which obviously you're not meant to do, but you know, like I say, adaptability, right? It's whatever. I'm not going to do this 99% of the time. One of the rare instances where I actually use the Cypher to draw a traditional harmonic pattern. But yeah, so tomorrow what I'm going to do, guys, is we're going to spacebar through thingies once again, semiconductors. And this time it's going to be way quicker because obviously many of the plays we looked at are now pumped, so we can just breeze past those two. There's a few that still haven't really moved. We can manage a risk on, right? So I want to do that tomorrow. Since it's a Friday today, like markets aren't going to be open tomorrow anyway, so we can just take a look and prepare ourselves for next week, right? And this is in the case people think, oh yeah, S&P is. Let's finish off on this, right? I completely understand I completely understand why people would be completely wary of the S&P 500 over here. But like I've been mentioning, being overbought and just being so far extended because of the buying pressure, like those are two completely different things. Okay, we are right now in stocks, 100%. We are not overbought, right? I mean, we are overbought, but what we are is overextended. That's the correct word. Because as you've got these people that will tell you, oh look, bearish divergence on the monthly, bearish divergence on the weekly, this thing's bound to drop soon. You can have class A bearish divergence and be overbought for 6 months straight, and prices can still keep ripping higher. Okay, there is absolutely zero weakness right now on the S&P, and yes, I want a market-wide nuke, but it does not mean we're going to get one. I've gone cash heavy anyway because if we're not going to get a nuke, I'm just going to rotate the CFD profits of one cash into other plays, right? It's what it is. But this doesn't look like it wants to slow down right now, right? There's nothing here indicating, oh yeah, weakness, anything like this. We might be getting bearish divergence, but we're starting to get build up a bearish divergence. That's to be expected, right? But look, you can stay in the bullish control zone. You can stay above this for a long time, be overbought for a long time, and prices keep ripping higher. So for that instance, right, I think electricity in generation, i.e. power, I think things like some package software. I need to go through the full package software list. It's huge, so I keep procrastinating, but I will get through it at some point. But still semiconductors, AI, right? Anything related with these, data storage, Hell, things like what transfers data, like cables, optics, photonics is still a thing, right? All of these will keep ripping, in my opinion, for a while, because there's just nothing right now indicating weakness, right? And if free money literally does come back into the market at these highs, why would people then take that free money and dump everything? It doesn't make sense. I don't know when free money is going to come back, but I don't know. It's very tough to say the market looks like it's done right now. If we start again, like I said, if we start distributing around here, S&P starts distributing around here, right? Then yeah, you have a good area to try and take a short. And this was something I was talking about Ponzi with Ponzi yesterday in the stock chat, because Ponzi was like, "Have you seen the ABCD and S&P?" I was like, "Yeah, it's an area where you would, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen here." But don't forget what I've taught you guys. S&P is the cap weight. If you look at equal weight, I believe we still haven't actually hit our level yet. So if I go and check S&P EW, I'll look at the equal weight. Yeah, we still have high to go on the equal weighting. So we could genuinely get a liquidity rotation from maybe the top semiconductors that have already burned failed faces, and we trickle it down to lower cap semiconductors, or other power stocks that haven't moved, other semiconductors that haven't moved, right? Like some of the examples we looked at today. Maybe another narrative comes, a quick one in that space. Could be aerospace, could be defense. Like those are always going to run. But I do think there is still more room for growth, because equal weight hasn't yet hit its 1.618 target for the ABCD. So I think once this hits, I think S&P is going to be massively extended, and hopefully that's when we get that pullback, once things start distributing as a whole, not just on the cap weighted stock, right? But I think I'll finalize and finish with that thought for today. Take a look. Any other questions you want to fill in? Yeah, Spacebar Gang, exactly.
Could we go over a little bit of software companies tomorrow? I'm getting a little bit of FOMO with them. I miss ServiceNow and Salesforce.
Yeah, of course, bro. Yeah, we could do that. We can spacebar through software. You mean packet software, right?
Yeah, software, SaaS, business-to-business softwares. Yeah.
I'm sure I've got that down here somewhere. Let me just find it. Unless I'm missing
You got the God tier list, man.
Semiconductors, package software should be within here.
Do you mind if I speak a little bit on that real quick with my so I've been working the last 6 months on vibe coding essentially, and most of y'all know that I created a terminal and trading, and I've been working on a Copilot and all that stuff.
Very clear.
Well, the backbone of all of that stuff, the trading, like it opened my eyes to me having a good read on supply and demand and whatnot. And so I went to creating tools for businesses like healthcare and retail suppliers for retail and whatnot. And in doing that, the government has eyes on me as far as like giving me money to fund what I'm doing. I'm in the Texas A&M Mays Business School contest, still a contender, haven't been booted out yet.
Nice.
And I just got one of my videos I submitted for DoD contracts has been moved on to the next round. So like a lot of what I'm doing with the trading stuff, the reason why it's taking so long to come out is because of that. I've been working hard on this stuff in the background. I'm not just bringing another like Telegram or Discord channel. I'm bringing an actual fucking software system that actually works and has a very good database it pulls from. And a lot of it came from your trading mixed with financial astrology is it's just like I have to tone it down or else I'm going to break the fucking algorithm. Yeah. I'm hitting 95%, and I was hitting 100% there for a little while. But yeah, so for one, I appreciate it. And two, if anybody's interested in being a beta tester for my Copilot, it's ready to roll.
Yeah, but if you want, I can create like a channel for you to like post your stuff in the Discord so people can look at it if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. But A webhook, actually. If you can get me a webhook, I can just hook my agent directly up to it, and it can. We can either do it with slash commands where people can interact with it, or it'll just make like daily or 4-hour posts or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, sure, bro. That sounds good. I'll have to look at how to like get webhooks and stuff done. But I can do that in my free time. Yeah, we can get that set up. 100%.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks,
I've
man.
tested it myself though. It's very clean. It's very nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's pretty dope.
It's very.
I've not
Thank
seen
you.
someone type code that level.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty damn cool for becoming a coder, within a year. I mean, it's been a year in the making, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. The methodology's been a year in the making. The coding part has been since January, the end of January. Whenever I realized that that coding agents have come a long way from 2 years ago when I started making my first indicator, which took me like 6 months. It took me 6 months to make my first indicator, which was just very basic. But
We're
now,
gonna see Quantra Technologies public stock IPO in the future.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. That's like, up there with Palantir. So like some of the stuff that I'm making would directly feed into Palantir's ontology. So like that, Palantir is the U.S. government's baby. And so if I can feed that baby data, then they're going to give me money to do so.
Well, I think, sorry, a bit off topic. I think it was a good shout looking at services, bro. Anti, looks good, man. Data processing looks insane. Some of these plays. Look at data processing. Oh, it's gonna have to be like medical. I'll do it in bits. This will obviously be private. This won't go on YouTube. What we do tomorrow in that case. I'll put it on our folder instead for the bunker, and I'll share it with you guys. But yeah, many of these look good, bro.
It's crazy to see single stock at lows like this for such certain topics. But the S&P it's literally what hype is doing in crypto, right?
Yeah.
But S&P being the all time.
Yeah, look at some of these. What the hell? Damn. Okay. Yeah, we have to pay attention here.
Speaking of hype, I'm thinking it's looking like it. It just did that parabolic move, but it's looking like it wants an infinity channel. And all we need is a Crypto Clarity Act to pass for that shit to happen.
Yes. That's all my financial buddies who trade fundamentals only is they're not adding to their crypto bags until they see this Clarity Act pass because the deadline keeps getting changed. I think it's next month is the deadline, but they're going to change it again possibly, which is okay because Brian Armstrong was against it. I don't know if you guys remember that. There's a couple things Brian Armstrong didn't like. I think he is kind of for the people in crypto a little bit, so I do kind of like his opinion. But
he's a Coinbase guy?
Yeah, he's the leader of Coinbase. I think he's a good dude. I have no issues with Coinbase. They're not like Bitgate or Binance where they're pumping and dumping shit. They're more so listing and dumping, but
they're trying to be a bank. They're not trying to be an exchange. They're trying to be a bank.
Yeah, you need trustability with that. You need to build trust to get become a bank like that. So they have to have a good past, a good history. Because Aave, I don't know if you guys know, Aave filed for their banking license in America, and I think they got denied. That's why they've done very bad recently.
They got denied.
I think they got denied, yeah. And also, I did a proposal on this for a class. If Aave did become a bank, they would have been the 34th largest bank in America, or the country as one of those, or the world, because of their reserves. They would have had the most reserves, the 34th largest out of banks.
Yeah.
That was when they were at like 180, though. A lot different now that they're at 80. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
They're cut 60% now in their reserves.
Also, again, off topic, but look at Mara. Jesus Christ. They're going to come out, they'll be like, Mara pivoted to AI infrastructure, the news, and it's going to pump us like another 100% overnight.
They're a DAT, right? Or a mining company?
Yeah, they're a mining company. Same as, bro, HUD. Jeez, I'm completely silent on this, bro. Jesus Christ, man.
We bought that. I think you bought that the same time you bought TeraWolf. I bought HUT, CLSK, and TeraWolf all at the same time.
HUD, I got out of this one way too early, bro. I held Wolf. I made money on CLSK. I got out of HUD way too early. This thing, damn, bro.
Yeah, I was looking back, I was looking at my old college report research, and I was comparing Bitcoin mining stocks, and it was TeraWolf, CLSK, Cypher, and
Yeah,
HUD.
Cypher. Yeah, that's the other one.
They're all in like single digits. They're all in single digits
Yeah.
on it, and talking about their old debt and shit. It's crazy the price difference.
Yeah, bro. I literally forget some of the calls I gave, man. It's like, we're doing this for so long now. But HUD, CLS, TeraWolf, all of these, bro. I was calling these. I'm pretty sure I called these in the old live trades. If I scroll back
Yeah,
on my
no,
channel,
we
it's gonna be there.
we all got a taste of them. They were
Yeah.
fucking beautiful.
Damn, man. Oh. But again, guys, this is the power of like, many people are very aligned, and it's just the way human nature is. Many people are very aligned. Just the way human psychology works. Most people won't benefit from the market in this phase, right? To do this, you have to sit through all of this. Like when I gave this in like 2023, bro, it's like, how many people do you think I didn't hold past like, a few 100% pumps? Like you have to hold for a long time, but people who do, they just get rewarded. Like it's so simple. To get to that stage where your board gets to a certain size, like move, trust me, just move at least 60% of it. Like for me, it's 70, but I'd move at least 60% of it just to long-term spot holds, because that's where you just make that easy money. You don't have to worry about anything. You can fuck off for like 6 months and you come back and you're in profit. Like, if it's fundamentally sound like this. The beautiful heart. Oh, this one's just pain, bro. I closed this one way too early. Or at least I had both. Yeah.
This is the FOMO I'm getting for software companies is because of what I saw with TeraWolf and all of them.
This is just the data processing as well, but we've got information technology services. I bet many of these will be doing well, although it's not exactly data. Information technology, yeah. They're going to be hit or miss, but I feel like as a whole, but we'll spacebar through this tomorrow. Where was I looked at some of these. I just saw a completed M shape. Oh, godly, of course. I'm not in this. It's just a random thing I drew at some point. That's nice. There was another one I saw. Oh my god! I need to get good at setting alerts. That would have been a gorgeous entry.
Do you have a thesis of what the next euphoric one would kind of be after data centers? Is it going to be like, because it's going software's next right now, it feels like, and then you see a little bit of like Snowflake pumping data storage. Do you think the next cycle would be kind of data services, meaning storage, computing power,
yeah.
cloud software,
Yeah,
etc.?
yeah. I think that that's just a logical progression, isn't it? Which is why even with crypto, like my next portfolio for the bull run, I'm literally anchoring it towards what's happening with equities, which is going to be AI and like data. But that's one of the reasons I know it's a meme at this point, but I do think, hopefully, fingers crossed, but I think Link Marines will get absolutely rewarded next cycle, bro. I think Link's going to melt faces next cycle.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Chainlink, bro. I think on the crypto side, I think Chainlink will do absolutely amazing next cycle. Like if we're going to get a proper run where alts actually break new highs, Link's going to be one of the best ones in my opinion.
They're going to be they're like the API kings of crypto, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone uses because they're so low latency, right?
Yeah. Bro, they got a partnership. I think, do you guys call it in the States like DTCC or something like this, or whatever? Bro, they got, I think they're the first crypto company to get a partnership with them. I was like, what the hell? That's insane. That's huge. If it was a bull run, that would have catapulted the coin like 50% off overnight, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but many of these are.
So as far as cloud services go, I know with Google's new anti-gravity and their Gemini, their Max plan. So with the $100 a month plan, you get 20 terabytes of cloud storage, and then with their maxed out plan, you get 36 terabytes of cloud storage. And the amount of compute tokens you get to run an agent, their Gemini or whatever agent you want to run on their anti-gravity shit, it's incredible. Like my shit's been running all night long doing automated tasks, and it's only used like 10% of a weekly allotted amount.
And that's like Google's web services versus like Amazon's web services, their AWS.
So all of Google's shit is like together. So they have multiple different departments and whatnot, but their cloud service is connected with their console, and it's all connected. Their anti-gravity is connected to it, and you can just you can have it all. Your agents, you can build if you decide to build on their infrastructure, you can have it run very, very smoothly, but it's expensive. A lot of their services are expensive. I was trying to pull Google Maps data and using my $300 free credit on their API, and it only did I was doing hospital facilities, and there's 120,000 of them, and it only pulled 15,000 before it hit the limit. And so I need several thousands of dollars to do it. But since then, I found a free database that I pulled.
People selling AI services like Amazon and Google, that's why people are still buying them up here, right? Top blasting is because they're making a fuck ton from these AWS, these monthly subscriptions.
Yeah. So if I'm doing healthcare shit, I have to use either Google or AWS. Because of their infrastructure is already compliant with the U.S. HIPAA laws and all that stuff. If I run it on my own stuff, I can, but I have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars making sure it's compliant and all of that.
It'd be in-house. You'd be in-house deving, full stack.
Yeah. And I'll do it eventually once I get, funding. But yeah, right now I just have a Spark.
This has been good, guys. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, of course, bro. No, I love streams like this where it's more than just TA. We can actually talk about ideas.
Yeah. What time were you thinking about tomorrow?
I think probably
so I can make sure I'm ready.
Probably similar time. I think an hour or two before I go live.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, bro, Cosmic, I literally just saw your ping, bro. Yeah, yeah, this looks good. This Pega, literally just people ask, "Oh, how'd you get these stocks, bro?" I just turn my brain off on a space bar until I see a pattern I recognize, and then I just lock in. That's it. You can easily manage.
So here's my other thing. So I guess we bring it right. Pega, it's at its lows, right? Mm-hmm. It's not looking like the best company on stocks and charts. And you look at their cash statements, right? You don't just look at their stock, so you look at their cash statements and such too, right? Yeah, just to understand a little bit of the fundamentals. What I've kind of seen is one, for example, is QUIK, QUIK. It looks like a great semiconductor to get into, small cap. The only thing is their long-term debt is a fucking issue. Yeah, it is that's why they're at lows.
Yeah.
So it looks amazing to get in, but man, you're buying into some of the biggest debt a company could fucking have.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to companies like that, I was like I was saying earlier, I take it as a reactionary trade to begin with. You never fully position. You don't enter with a long-term mindset, right? Not because you're completely right. There's no point entering a company that's not profitable, has shown no signs of profitability. Because long term, the value of your stock is just going to be way too overbloated. It's going to be overbought basically. But if you then look at that, but then you ignore the fact that you're at the lows and you have an area where you can manage your risk, then that will directly contradict what we do as traders, right? So if you're coming at it from an angle of an investor, then you don't even need to be looking at 95% of the stuff that we look at, or you guys learn in core and advanced. We just need to understand the cash flow, the books, the fundamentals of the company, and over the next year, over the next 5 years, and over the next 10 years, is this business model and is the current people in charge, what they're doing, how they're pushing things for the business, is it going to generate profit, right? Because if it is, the value of the stock is going to go up over time to reflect that. In that case, all you have to do is buy and hold, right? But for us, what we do is not just a fundamental play, because now we're also thinking of, okay, but we also have to look at it from the technical side of things, because we know 95% of the time, the charts are going to move before any news, before any good news comes out, before any bad news comes out. It's going to be an area where it can then move to reflect that news, right? And in this sort of situation where you're at the 886, you're at the lows, maybe you're at a yearly level, I don't really know yet. you look at everything, and if it looks like you're genuinely in an area where you're holding a yearly level, you're at a completed M shape, and the most important thing is if you're wrong, how much are you wrong by? Because there's always going to be, no matter where you enter, there's always going to be an area where you're going to be wrong. If that risk is tolerable to you based on where the chart currently is, right, and you pair that up with, okay, it might be a company in debt right now, or they might not be making money, but maybe they fall within a certain narrative where if certain news comes out, or if any potential, let's say, restructuring happens or anything like this, then it's going to get a very quick reaction off that area, right? Because we know, like 99% of the time, if any sort of news comes out, it's not going to happen in the middle of nowhere. So they're going to happen at resistance, and it's bad news, or at support, and it's good news, right? So for things like that, you don't have to be fully allocated into a project, but I just take a shot, right? At a certain point, I almost think of it like if I start overthinking this, then I'm just not going to make a play. I'm going to be under like analysis paralysis, and that's the last thing you want to be. So I just sort of just take it as it comes, and if it's an area where I can manage risk and technically things are lining up, because I'm more of a technical trader than a fundamental trader. If technically things are lining up and it's an area where I can easily absorb the hit that I would take if I'm wrong, then I'll just go for it, bro. And if it's like you say, like if you then look at the balance sheet, the company, and you see that this company is not making money, it's in the red, so on and so forth, then you don't have to be fully positioned, right? But if
So a good example would be like BlackBerry, right? You guys aren't fully positioned into it, but you caught the trade, right? Because there's still room.
Yeah. On spot, I'm not fully positioned whatsoever. On CFD, I know it's a trade, so I'm in with size because I know for a reactive trade, I can catch a nice amount, right? And I know I'm not going to be sat there holding this for like $60 or whatever, because that could not be that could take 10 years to come. But I know that in that initial reaction that I can catch from this low, I can still make a lot of money for a trade. So that's why I'm not sizing up on spot, I'm sizing up on CFD, because I know I'm going to be out soon with that. Once, like I say, we get a pullback, something like BABA comes along where you get the M-shaped completion, and then all of a sudden structure's on your side. That's when you would then be sizing up into spot as well. And hopefully over that time period where that happens, the company's pivoted, it's then, fallen into the new stride of what they want to be as a business. And typically these things always line up. It's hardly a coincidence, right? They always line up. But
that makes a ton of sense, man.
Because if I start overthinking it, then I'll just be sat here like just not making a decision. And especially if you're trying to for example, like I put size in, like I'll show you guys all my trades, not just the percentage, the dollars as well. When I'm taking the CFD trades, I'll put size in, so I cannot afford to be sort of cautious and be like, not yet. Like I have to enter. Like even if I don't feel like entering, I have to enter purely based on a system. Because if I don't, I might miss the good entry, right? And all of a sudden my risk to reward is skewed. And if I take a hit, the hit's going to be bigger than what I originally wanted. So just to avoid that sort of overthinking at moments where it actually matters, I would just left brain it basically. But for higher time frame spot backs, that's completely different. Like you said, you want to take everything into account for sure.
Analysis paralysis is a good terminology for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, of course, brother. It's all yours. But yeah, no, in that regard, like just in terms of risk management, I think this looks decent. I would literally just do this. There's your 886. There's a buy zone. Start flipping this, which you're above. As long as you're above this area, you can easily like just try for a starter position here. Right? Maximum risk would be 10% if you want to keep it tight. It's anywhere between 2 to basically 4.7, and you would literally. There's no cash, there's no business fundamentals, nothing involved. This is literally just a trade.
Yeah, if you want to think of fundamentals, like they could get acquired, into a company with a great credit rating, and then they can easily distribute that debt across their billions of dollars of assets, whatever. BlackRock could buy them. You have no idea.
Exactly.
You just trade the levels and then worry about the news later.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, no, that looks interesting. But yeah, no, for sure, bro. I appreciate you, Antti, for putting this, because I probably wouldn't have looked at services anytime soon if you hadn't mentioned. I've been so locked in on semiconductors and aerospace and defense. We need to go through so much here. Basically, just if you guys want to start looking at this in your own terms, just look at any stock you can find, whether category is technology services or electronic technology, computer communications, right? Electronic equipment.
Yeah.
Computer peripherals, processing hardware, like anything that falls onto this, aerospace and defense, always aerospace and defense, electronic production, like semiconductors over data processing, information technology services, then there's packaged software, internet software services, right? All of these, I think, yeah, we'll the next few streams we do, it'll all be private. We'll just go through every single one of these for sure. I think it's a good time to do so. Because yeah, if it is going to be the next big rotation, then yeah, we want to be in for moments like this. So let me actually go ahead and what was this under information technology? Let me just do this. There you go. Put this under actively watching. But yeah, there's a lot. There's especially on information technology. There's a lot, and underneath, what's the other one? Data processing. There's a lot as well.
God damn! I can't believe AMD is still running. Holy!
It's insane. Right?
I think they're 500 billion market cap. So a lot of people are trying to value them at 1 trillion for the high, which would be like 800, right? 800, 900. It's not crazy either. I mean, they're both locked in on CPUs and GPUs. And they have the best CPUs. They're so much better than Intel. Intel does not deserve to be as high as they are.
Bro, yeah, I think after like I started to get into like custom building PCs, like AMD is much nicer in my opinion.
I'm glad. Yeah, that's where you figure it out. When you start building your own PC and start doing builds and understanding bottlenecking tools against each other. Yeah, AMD. It's a generation above and it's cheaper. So I would talk about it when I was younger. I should have just been buying the stock.
Yeah, bro, exactly. Bro, I was in like year 7, year 8, which is basically the start of secondary school in the UK. And I remember one of my friends. He was locked in from. He was one of those like you knew. He seemed like a little weirdo, but like his head was in the right place, and. He was telling me about like, oh guys, you know what Ethereum is? I was like, what's Ethereum? I didn't know what crypto was full stop. I never heard of Bitcoin in my life till then. And it was like, oh yeah, it came out and then like it's gone from like $1 to like it's at like $40 right now, something like this. And it didn't really mean much to me. I was like, oh that's cool. But I'm looking back at it now, bro. If that had interested me in the same way it does now, like I was sat wondering how different my life would be. Like, I'd be sad. Because yeah, bro, like, being early to these things is so rewarding.
I think the first time I bought Bitcoin was at $11,000. So that's when I figured out crypto.
Yeah, that's fire. Here's another one. I don't know what it will do, GDDY, but structure-wise, it's there. Massive consolidation. Clearly huge support. Clearly huge market participants in this area. You banged into it with an 886. If it holds, wouldn't be surprised if this just goes on. Easy to manage. And again, this would not. Your first trade would be reactive. Right? It will just be a reactive trade. Do it around the 886. See if there's any historical price range, yearly levels, right, volume levels, whatever you want, and just try to play HT1 first. Include the front run because many times, if the asset's trend is not strong enough, it will just bounce with the front run. So even to the front run, it's a 4-hour trade. Right? You will secure a 31% move, and if you put size in that, you'll make your monthly in a day, like easily. So yeah, we definitely go through this whole thing. For sure, there's a lot. I can't believe Mara looks this good. Right? That's insane. Yeah, we'll take a look at everything now. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen what's been happening with Groupon. Have you heard of a guy named Mispriced Assets at all on social media?
Oh, no, I haven't. No.
It's a guy, he used to work on Wall Street, and now he works all on his own. He buys his own Bloomberg monthly subscription, which we know how much that is. Mm-hmm. And his next push is Groupon, a GRPN, I think it is. But they're like 400 mil market cap. He's basically, he actually has a meeting with the board or whatever, right? The team. Because he's rebalancing their whole shit.
It's rebuilding itself as an AI native company. That's all I need to know. Right.
They're trying to rebuild it into like an AI coupon service where you can pay monthly to like kind of have coupons added to your checkout immediately. That's the whole goal of this guy, what he's trying to make them do. Rebuilding their whole app and everything. They're going to do a whole rebalance.
Bro, I think you just gave us some nice alpha as the choice.
And the thing is that they're profitable too, and they're up 34% this month. So it's like we missed the Pico bottom, for sure.
If you look at where we are, it does not matter. There's a lot of room for growth. I mean, obviously, reactive wise, like it's not the best place to long right now. You want to be close to 1761. Like this This is an example of me. Like, no matter how strong something is fundamentally, this is you'll never see me trying to catch a trade at, like, for example, areas like this, right? Because I either want this flipped or rejection here for a short. I want this flipped or acceptance here for a long. If this happens, I'll short. In terms of a trade, there's nothing you can do here. But if you flip,
Well, yeah, you've always said the 0.5 is the hardest part to trade, right?
Yeah.
On a fib is the 0.5.
Yeah, exactly. But bro, this looks good. That is a shark that is completed. That is almost guaranteed to be.
I'm gonna buy a Substack actually. He brings out some cool shit. So yeah, I'm gonna keep up to date on it a little bit. I'll share some of the stuff in Stocks chat.
Yeah, of course, bro. I would appreciate that. Yeah, you've got a completed shark here. 2.24. So basically, what I wanted to see is right now. This is probably gonna go for a 5-0. 1, 2, 3. There's your low 917. 0.5. This will probably fizzle out. If it's just a reactive trade, it will fizzle out somewhere around $26. And then you get some sort of high low from there. That'd be fire. But if you want a long-term bag, like you can easily build one out from here. But for trade, you want to either revisit.
Yeah, I think my intentions on this would be they are profitable. That's the thing. So.
Yeah.
There's that, but yeah, I'm more so looking at this as a trade than a long-term investment for sure.
Yeah, for now, I would say your first bet would be to just get a reactive trade off. But if they succeed with doing something like an AI coupon, then you can. That's why I give you. It's a simple idea, and it's not like I invented it or whatever. But scalp to swing. It's one of the first things that you teach you in advance, right? Just learn to get good at scalp to swings because that's the best of both worlds. If you believe in something and you think it has a shot, then there's no point closing the entire trade out, especially if you think you've caught a good low, right? So take profits, turn it from a scalp, and then once you're risk-free, turn it into a swing. Easy. But on log, that looks good, bro. Grinding up. So if we get something like this, let's say we hit the sharp 5-0, come down and start grinding up off this, flipping this into support. That would be an easy bet to the upside. I love like bottom out charts like this. That also, might I add, is a smiley face. You can spot these for a mile away. There we go. Boom. That is everything you want to see towards like bottoming structures, and that's from 2020. So 6 years in the making. Not bad at all. As the last lower high, that's the lower low been taken out. 1 second.
Just on log, those were log breakout lines. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on linear, you're broken out as well. Like technically, you're out of the. There's no more downtrending lines you can really put. So that's, but yes, smiley face on both log and linear. Yeah, that's good, bro. Honestly. Let's see.
Add it to the list.
Yes, sir. It's going into the list.
the 2000 stock ticker list.
Yeah, that's why I've got an entirely separate list I call actively watching, where I go through everything and then which ones look good for me to put my attention to. I can just put it over here.
Nice.
So these are all the ones that's currently in the challenge account, right over here. And then
I've been enjoying EL. That has been great so far.
It's still out for sure.
But the best part, it's not tech. So like the diversity's nice. Like I'm investing in beauty supplies.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get dividends. They give 3%.
Bro, honestly as well, like the first time I got you guys into Estee Lauder, it was obviously we didn't know anything about Matt Walsh or anything like this. So now we have like someone in government that's sort of linked to Estee Lauder and more people are looking at it, right? But when I first came into you guys last year, I didn't have any. I found it in the most random place. So I was I was going from Derby to London to visit some friends, and then one of my friends works for EMR. So he just as a tip, because I made him some good money with one of my crypto pools. He was like, "Oh mate, he was like, I'll just give you some money as a tip." I was like, "That's all right." But then he surprised me with these first class tickets because he works for EMR from Derby to London. So I was like, "Okay, I've got to use that then." So me and my friend, we were going to London. And there was someone sat opposite us who was saying, "Oh, like one of my friends works for Estee Lauder," and like they were saying like they're doing a lot of like rehaulings and revampings, and like there's a lot of internal changes going on, so on and so forth in Estee Lauder. I was thinking, okay, that's interesting. I was like, oh yeah, well, I was looking at this stock as well. Looks like he doesn't know anything about technology. He's just like, oh yeah, I thought it looked interesting. And I looked at it, bro, and it's like, okay. And that was when I looked at it, and I was like, when I told you guys, holy shit, this looks so good, because lo and behold, what do we have in it? we have like the most insane like higher time frame back, like a 5 to a perfect 886. Like I'm not seeing that shit in my life, right? Perfect.
Yeah.
It's like holy shit. So that's why originally I called it here, but that was clearly like that got nuked, right? We were in profits. The top loss was a break even. That one didn't work out. But then you come back to a higher low, even better. And the higher low, what is it now giving us that we didn't before? Even better, it's giving us a butterfly. Right? You've got more structure. So that was an easy entry here. Even better entry than what we had last time. So yeah, I think this one just needs time. Like for me, this one is just like a buy and hold, risk free. Like I'm not actively trading this one.
Same. I'm gonna let Kevin Warsh's father-in-law take care of work for this one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I sadly do have to go, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, of course. Brother.
Thank you for all the insights as always.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. Thank you guys for your inputs as well. It's always nice when streams are like this because obviously when you're talking and you're sharing ideas like this, we all grow together. We all think from perspective we haven't before. It's all fine and well when I'm the only one streaming and talking, but obviously these are so much more productive when it's like this. So, Duke, Anti-Bro, I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much, man.
Of course, man. I love being an active listener. Yeah, so I'm always going to ask questions when I can.
Yeah, I'll end this here. I'll put it on YouTube, this one, but all the streams from tomorrow are going to be private. So for the next few ones, they're all going to be private. I'll put it up in the Bunker Streams section instead. So there you guys can access it. Drive.
Appreciate the stream, bro.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Appreciate you guys giving me some
I'll catch you all.
Yeah, catch you guys in a bit.
It's great talking to everyone, man. See you guys. Thank you.